Countess Zaleska. Oh no, sorry. Hold on. I'm giving you the whole plot. There's not going to be any super spoily warning. If you want to watch this movie and have no spoilers, you should not watch this video. Dracula's daughter. I'm gonna do it now. You ready? Well, hello there, everybody. Happy October, Shocktober Halloween season. KBVC here, continuing our Universal Classic Monsters collection. And the focus of this year's Halloween is the Dracula Legacy Collection. And we're on to the third movie in the Dracula Legacy Collection. Dracula's Daughter. Countess Marla Zaleski seeks the help. Marla. Did I say Marla? There's no L there. So, Maria? Maria? Maria. Maria? Marie? Zaleska seeks the help of a noted psychiatrist to free herself from her father's evil influence. Yeah, Dracula's Daughter. 1936, so 5 years later until we get to Dracula's Daughter. There she is herself, Countess Zaleska, Dracula's daughter. I wonder how they got that name. Zaleska. It's not like it's Dracula backwards or anything. It's interesting. I guess. Is it interesting? So 5 years after the first Dracula, several of the, and I don't have that file up here, so I can't look at it. But yep, we've had the Mummy. We've had, what's this? 36. Yeah. So we've had the Mummy, 2 Frankenstein movies. Nope, not the Wolfman. That's the 40s. The Invisible Man, and that's the 50s, and I think also this guy's in the 50s too, right? 43 in color. Sorry, stop talking about future movies. So, yeah, we've gone through. Dracula started it all off, and then quickly added with Frankenstein, the Mummy, and the Invisible Man, and then Bride of Frankenstein, and then Dracula's Daughter. Not Bride of Dracula, which I think is interesting. She gives you that weird feeling, Dracula's Daughter. It shows all the movies right there in chronological order. So I didn't have to flip through disc to disc. Except they list the 1925 Phantom of the Opera, which, that's strange. Hold on. They list it on there, but they don't give it to you unless it's the extra feature on there. That's a legacy question for another day. I guess if you want to count the Phantom of the Opera and not count Hunchback of Notre Dame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be number 7 in the monster legacy of Dracula's Daughter. Was it a very good dad? It also does not really imply that Dracula and one of his brides had a girl, and that's her. It is more implied that she's one of his brides, kind of. So I don't know why it designates her as Dracula's daughter. If they were just trying to back away from Bride, since they had already had the Bride of Frankenstein, the Bride of Dracula, or Dracula's Bride, was something that they were trying to get away with. Okay, let's see who's in this movie. Otto Kruger, who is the main psychiatrist guy. I should have took notes. Hold on. IMDb to the rescue. Okay, Otter. Otto Kruger plays Jeffrey Garth, our lead, the psychiatrist, the noted psychiatrist. Gloria Holden plays Countess Maria Zaleski. Margaret Churchill plays Janet. Edward Van Sloan returns as Professor Von Helsing. Gilbert Emery as Sir Basil Humphrey. I guess that's the head of Scotland Yard. And Irving Pichel as Sandor, the creepy Sandor. And Nan Gray as Lily. And then E.E. Clive as Sergeant Wilkes, who I believe he was also in The Invisible Man, at the very least, if not others. I guess he's right here. I'll just click on it real quick. Invisible Man, The Bride of Frankenstein, Hound of Baskervilles. Just not a universal picture, but still. And he passed away in 1940? No, that's not right. Yeah, 1940. He passed away. Poor E.E. All right, Nan Gray. I'm looking at her real quick here because she's really familiar to me. She's in The Invisible Man Returns. I feel like there's something else. Yeah, Invisible Man Returns, House of Seven Gables. I don't know that movie. Tower of London. So, really, it's just those two films that I would have seen her from. But yeah, she seemed pretty familiar. I guess I just watched these movies so much they all look pretty familiar. So that's that. There's that. Wow. Screenplay by Garrett Ford. Suggested by Oliver Jeffries. E.M. Asher is the associate producer and directed by Lambert Hillyer. H-I-I-L-Y-E-R. H-I-I. Dracula's daughter. So this movie takes place like right after Dracula does. It pretty much picks up with two police constables coming down into the shabby abbey and being all like, what's all the screaming and hubbub about? And Van Helsing comes out and is all like, they find Renfield's body. Completely different set. There's no junk where you can't see where his body hid. Ignore that continuity. One thing about the sequels for the monster movies, don't worry about continuity from movie to movie because it just slowly or quickly gets thrown out the window. So the two cops, they find, and Sloane's like, oh, I didn't kill this man. That guy killed this man. Oh, what guy? Oh, the guy that's dead in there with a stake through his heart. And they're like, okay, you're going down to the precinct with us. So they're basically going to get Van Helsing for 2 double murders. And he doesn't seem too worried about it. He's all like, no, that guy was dead hundreds of years ago. He's a vampire. And they're like, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Their terminology, okay? Not mine. Theirs. Otto is a psychiatrist. And he's like, okay, well, talk to this Otto guy. He'll tell you what's going on. Otto guy comes on and he's all like, no, you're crazy, for vampires don't exist. That's just nutso. And he's this big socialite, and they're trying to do this thing with, well, he seems like he's well off and a socialite, but yet he's a psychiatrist with a pretty substantial office in the hospital that he's at. And he's got a secretary who is also a socialite, well-to-do person, who is very sassy and abrasive. And those two have a horribly abrasive relationship, but yet it's supposed to be fun and cute, his girl Friday type of thing going. And really, he's just a jerk to her, and she kind of gives it back to him a little bit. But it's like, why are you interested in this guy? Because he's just being a schmo to you. And that's their relationship in a nutshell. But they go to their socialist party, and he meets the Countess, and it's like, oh, I'm so in love with you, Countess. And she's all like, oh, you're a psychiatrist. Maybe you can help me out, because I have daddy issues. Which we have already seen, because she goes to the police precinct. She's got her little ring there that she mesmerizes people with. Look into my ring. I'm not wearing one. You gotta imagine that I'm Dracula's daughter with a ring on my finger, and I'm saying, "Look at my ring." And everyone's like, "Ooh, what?" And she steals the body, sets him on fire, which is good practice. I'm all for evil creatures like Dracula getting a stake through the heart, beheaded, and then set on fire. I think when you're dealing with ultimate evil, like Dracula, no matter how suave he may be, stake through the heart, cut his head off, set him on fire, and that's pretty much what you got to do to get rid of him. But she didn't cut his head off. There's no beheadings in this. So she's like, okay, he's dead. I've burned the body. I am now free to live my life without temptation, blah, blah, blah. Except she's got creepiest of creeper, helper, butler, manservant guy who is an enabler. Put his photo next to the word in the dictionary because he is like, no, don't you hear the night? It's spooky and creepy. She's like, no, it's lovely, it's great. No, you want to go out and kill people. Like, no, I don't really. Here, let me get your coat and your mesmerizing ring. So she goes out and she kills somebody, a man, it should be noted. So then when she meets the psychiatrist, Otto, she's like, oh, can you cure me from my horrible daddy issues? And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. Well, I'll come on to your place, sweetie, and diagnose you. So it goes like that. I'm not going to do the whole story, I guess. Not this one. I didn't love it that much as I did the first Dracula. But it's got interesting points. One of them being the Nan Gray. What did I say her name was? Whatever her name was, Nanny, Lily. That section, her performance is very mesmerizing for me. She starts off as this poor girl who's apparently going to commit suicide by jumping off a bridge in London. Whether it's London Bridge, I can't say, but it's a bridge in London. And the creeper manservant is like, hey, don't kill yourself. Come have a hot meal and a drink, and you can pose for my mistress, who's an artist, and wants you to pose for her. So she's like, oh, okay. And she goes and poses for her. She's going to go pose for her. She gets some food and some fire, warmth, some drink. And she's like, okay, everything's okay. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, go take my shirt off. Sure, that's fine. But took my undergarment off the sleeve, and then that was like too much. Too much shoulder and neck for Dracula's daughter to handle. And she's all like, look into my ring. Poor Nan gets drained. Not completely, because she's in the hospital later. She gets picked up by police, and she's in the hospital later, and the doctor's trying to figure out what's going on with her. And the whole time, Countess Zaleski is like, no, you gotta help me, because I keep killing people, and I don't want to kill people. She doesn't say that, or else she would have been locked up. But she's like, no, you gotta help me. He's like, hey, I gotta do this other thing. You do what you gotta do, but I'm gonna go do this other thing. And, of course, Secretary, who is secretly in love with the guy, I don't know, because I guess she's the type of person who likes men who are jerks to her and very jealous. She's very jealous of Madame Zelensky and Otto's preference to her. Just the fact that she has no mirrors and she doesn't want to look at a hypnotizing device that would help her solve her problems. She doesn't want to look at that because it has a mirror. And that she goes and she sleeps. She can't see him during the daytime. It has to be at night because she's sleeping at the night. And they show her she's got a pretty nice coffin, a lot better than the crates that Drac ends up sleeping in the shabby abbey. She's got a bigger manservant than poor Dwight. Not sure how he got those boxes of dirt out of the castle, because that would have been a lot of work. But anyway, I digress. The creepy enabler just keeps trying to push her to do evil, and she just wants the doctor guy. So she steals the snappy secretary so that he will follow her to some building in the country, her house in the country. No, I'm sorry. I got confused. It's not a house in the country. It's a castle in Transylvania. They go to Transylvania. Otto is now completely convinced about vampires. Van Helsing has been like, yeah, I've been telling you this whole movie, dude. It's vampires. He's very limited role. Van Helsing. He spends most of the time in jail or sitting on the head inspector's couch and in his office. He spends a lot of time in there until the end of the movie. It's like, vampires are real. We've got to find this lady because she's the one who's going around draining people of their blood. And he's like, well, vampire or not, this lady is killing people, so we need to find her and get her. She escapes through the dragnet and takes what's her name to Snappy secretary to Transylvania. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave. And then the head inspector's like, well, where'd he go? And Van Helsing's like, oh, I know where he went. He went to that castle in Transylvania because I now know all of Dracula's abodes. When I was told that he was staying at a shabby abbey, I had no idea where he was at. One night? How many nights does this cover? 2 nights? 3 nights? Maybe? A week pushing it. So they follow Otto. Otto gets to the castle, and Drac's daughter, Not Mavis. Not Mavis is like, I want you to live with me forever. And he's like, whoa, 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 baby. I just want my secretary back. That's all I'm here for. She's like, no, you must live with me forever. And then, oh, creepy enabler. He doesn't like that at all. He's like, no, you promised me immortality. I should be out there getting my blood on with the ladies and gents, whoever I fancy to that night. And so he gets his crossbow and he's like firing it at everybody. Maybe that's not a huge action scene there, but he does fire a crossbow at Otto. And I don't remember if she's like, or if she's like, what happens? But that wooden shaft of an arrow misses Otto and goes right into Not Mavis's heart. And she staggers off into the balcony to die. And that's when the cop and Van Helsing show up. I think the guy tries to kill them too. I don't remember he ends up with a sticky fate. I believe he falls. What was I even talking about? I don't know. Yeah, I totally don't remember what happens to him. I think the cop shoots him. Or maybe the psychiatrist shoots him. And there's some weird point during the movie where Mr. Psychiatrist is running around like he's a member of the police force, like he's a detective on Scotland Yard rather than just a psychiatrist who was called in to evaluate his former boss or mentor or whoever he was. Van Helsing. It's going to bug me. What happened to Creepy Enabler? What happened to it? I guess that's not going to get spoiled for you because I can't remember what happens. I guess the inspector seeing the lady with a bow through her heart, an arrow through her heart. It's like, well, I guess Van Helsing didn't kill anybody. The vampires are real, and that Otto's okay. Something, and then Otto wakes up his secretary who had been in a trance, and she probably wakes up after Not Mavis dies. Sorry, Madame Zelensky. I like Not Mavis, but anyway. Oh, you know what? I actually really care about you, and we love each other, so let's go off together. The end. These movies back in the day, they didn't really waste time. I mean, there's some horror movies that are like that they're like, okay, told our story, it's over, let's just go. It was the days before tacking on an extra jump scare at the end where everyone's like, oh, it's okay, we survived this horrible ordeal. Dracula's daughter is not as good as Dracula. The characters are caricatures. It seems like it just borrows a lot from other movies, especially the thing that I don't think aged well was the relationship with the the psychiatrist Otto and his secretary. It's just kind of like, why are you even interested in him? Kind of thing. But then maybe that happens quite a bit in real life. Unrequited love. The person, whether it's female or male, is like, oh, you're the best ever, no matter how many mean things you say to me. And the other person's just all like, why are you around here? And they're like, ah, that's funny. So maybe that's actually closer to being a real life thing. Maybe the closest to being a real life thing in this movie. It's always interesting when your main monster or villain is trying to fight that impulse. I think people who watch this movie could put a correlation between an addiction, whatever addiction it might be, alcoholism or drugs or whatever, and even though the person who has caused you to have this addiction, you still got to make sure you don't have your enablers pushing you along to continue that addiction. I'm going to say that's what I got out of this movie. There was a deep meaning to this movie. That's what I would say it was. Otherwise, it's just great fun vampire entertainment. So it's like basically 1936, and then it wouldn't be till 1939 that you got Son of Frankenstein. And then the 1940s come along, and you would get one or two or three or four movies until like 1945's House of Dracula. And then it kind of ran itself into the ground until 1948 when Abbott Costello bring it back. And then The Creature of the Black Lagoon kicks off. There are several things that I like about Dracula's Daughter. Creepy Enabler is wonderfully creepy and wonderfully enabling. It adds to the tragedy of Dracula's Daughter, of Countess Zaleski, Not Mavis, because she's like, okay, Dracula's dead, his hold is over, I'm gonna be free. And there's a chance that he could just be being realistic. He's like, no, just because Drac's dead doesn't mean you're free. You're still gonna have that lust for blood. And he's got that creepy low voice. No, the night is full of wolves. They're wolves' bane for the dark, for blood. And then the whole scene with Nan, all the stuff with her, that whole section of the movie is pretty solid. The stuff where it has to do with the police and the psychiatry, not so solid. But everything with the monsters, with the vampire. So you don't find out what happens to Mina. You don't find out what happens to Jonathan. You don't find out what happens to Lucy, who, as far as we know, is still coming up out of the grave and hunting down people at night. No flying bats in this movie. I don't remember seeing any bad flying bats. I'm a beautiful lady. Pretty much not as good as the original, as the first one, but still has some very interesting elements. Very nicely shot. Fits very well into the canon of the Universal Monster universe. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. Problems and all. And all right, we're not going on to the next one. Is going to be the next one is going to be the Son of Dracula. Will he actually be the son? Dracula's daughter's brother. Continuing on with the sibling movie, Poor Dracula's Daughter, never to be seen again. Thank you for your entertaining qualities. Okay, guys, we'll see you next time. Son of Dracula. Did I say happy Halloween? No, happy October, Shocktober, Halloween season. Just in case I missed it. All right. I'm waving to the camera. Bye-bye.